Welcome back to the deep dive, everybody. Today, we're taking a look at something that's pretty mind-blowing when you stop and think about it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I was thinking about this the other day, and it really is
Well,
incredible.
let's just jump into it, right?
Same.
So, we like to think of ourselves as, individuals, as humans, right? But the truth is, we're also walking, talking ecosystems.
You got that right.
And that's what we're diving into today.
That's right. We're going deep into the world of microbial symbioses, which is a fancy way of saying all those little microbes that live in and on us.
Exactly. And these aren't just like hitchhikers or, some random bacteria hanging around. They're actually vital to our survival.
Absolutely. They're key players in our health and well-being, and scientists are only just beginning to really grasp just how important they are.
Right. And to start off, we're focusing on two of the busiest microbial hubs in our bodies, our gut and our mouth. So think of it like this. We're looking at the gastrointestinal microbiome and the oral microbiome, the communities of microbes living in those environments.
It's fascinating, isn't it? We often think of ourselves as purely human, but when you look at the sheer number of microbial cells we harbor, it's pretty much equal to the number of our own human cells.
Wow, yeah. When I first read that, I was like, hold on. Are we more microbe than human?
It's a humbling thought.
It really is. It sort of shifts your whole perspective on what it means to be human.
It does. And the research you've gathered highlights just how vital these microbial communities are. I mean, we depend on them for so many things.
That's right. And the exciting thing is the more we learn about these microbes, the more potential we uncover for things like, early disease detection and even personalized medicine.
Exactly. For example, imagine being able to predict your risk for certain diseases just by analyzing the composition of your gut microbiome, or receiving treatments that are tailored to your unique microbial makeup.
Yeah, that would be incredible. And think about this, folks. The research also suggests that understanding these microbes could even help us make drugs more effective.
And it's not just about developing new drugs, it's also about optimizing the drugs we already have. Tailoring them to an individual's microbiome could potentially improve their efficacy and reduce side effects.
It's like finally figuring out the instruction manual for our own bodies, but at a microscopic level.
Aha, I like that analogy.
But of course, there's a catch. It's not as simple as good microbes, good health, bad microbes, bad health. Everything in science, it's complicated.
Right, it's a two-way street. Our lifestyle, our diet, our overall health, these all influence the makeup of our microbial communities.
So imagine this, right? You change your diet, and suddenly the balance of power in your gut shifts. Certain microbial populations thrive, others dwindle, and this in turn can have a ripple effect on your overall health.
Precisely. So untangling these complex relationships, figuring out cause and effect, that's one of the big challenges facing researchers in this field.
It's like a giant puzzle, right? A microbial puzzle with millions of pieces.
You could say that. And every year, we're discovering new pieces, uncovering new connections between the types of microbes present and our health.
For instance, some studies have shown links between specific gut bacteria and conditions like obesity, diabetes, even mental health issues.
But it's important for everyone listening to understand that we're still in the early stages of research. Just because we see an association between a certain microbe and a health condition doesn't mean that microbe is causing that condition.
It's like finding a correlation, but not necessarily the causation.
Right, but it's still super exciting because it points us in the right direction for further investigation. It gives us clues about what might be going on.
And speaking of clues, the research you shared actually maps out all the places where these microbial communities reside in our bodies, like a microbial map.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's not just the gut and the mouth. We're talking about a whole network of microbial ecosystems throughout our bodies, from our nasal passages to our skin.
It's crazy to think about.
Figure 24.1 in your materials shows it all. The mouth and nasal cavities, the throat, the stomach, all the way down through the intestines, the urogenital tracts, even the skin. It's like we're covered in microbes.
And it makes sense, right? I mean, our bodies are constantly interacting with the environment. We breathe in air, we eat food, we touch things.
All of these activities introduce microbes to our bodies, and some of them decide to stick around and set up shop.
And to really get a handle on this massive microscopic world, there have been some seriously huge research projects launched, like the Human Microbiome Project, for example.
Yeah, these are large-scale collaborative efforts involving researchers from all over the globe, and they're tackling some really big questions.
Right, like how does our gut microbiome affect our health? How do microbial communities differ between people? And can we develop standardized methods for studying these communities?
One of the key goals of these projects is to link changes in our microbiome to changes in our health status. And as you might imagine, that's a pretty daunting task.
But these large-scale studies have already yielded some really interesting findings. And one that I found particularly fascinating was this. While the specific types of microbes can vary wildly from person to person, there are certain broader groups of microbes that tend to dominate.
Exactly. You won't find one single species present in absolutely everyone, but at higher taxonomic levels, like phyla and families and even some genera, we start to see more similarities between individuals.
So think of it like a family tree, right? Your specific branches, those are the species, might be unique to you, but the broader trunk and major limbs, those are the phyla and families, those you share with many other people.
And this finding actually has some pretty important implications for things like fecal transplants, a treatment that's been gaining a lot of attention lately.
Oh yeah, fecal transplants, that's where they take fecal matter from a healthy donor and transplant it into the gut of someone with a gut-related illness.
Exactly. And it might seem kind of gross at first, but it's actually been shown to be quite effective for certain conditions.
And the reason it can work, despite the fact that everyone's microbiome is unique, is because of those shared similarities at the higher taxonomic levels.
So even though the specific microbial species might differ, the overall functional capabilities of the transplanted microbiome are often similar enough to provide therapeutic benefit.
And that brings us to the first stop on our deep dive, the gastrointestinal microbiota, the most heavily colonized microbial site in our bodies.
The gut is teeming with microbial life, and it's here that these microbes can exert a really significant impact on our overall health.
We're talking about everything from digestion and nutrient absorption to immune system development and even brain function.
And one of the tools that has really revolutionized our understanding of the gut microbiome is viral metagenomics.
So metagenomics, that's the study of all the genetic material present in a particular environment, right?
That's right. And viral metagenomics focuses specifically on the genetic material from viruses. This is super powerful because it allows us to study the vast viral world, even those viruses that we can't grow in the lab.
And it's thanks to this technology that we've discovered some truly amazing things about the gut virome, the collection of viruses that reside in our gut.
One of the most surprising discoveries has been this thing called crassphage, a bacteriophage, which is a virus that infects bacteria.
Right, and what's really wild is that this single type of bacteriophage can make up as much as 90% of all the viral genetic material found in the human gut.
Think about that for a second. 90%. It's mind-blowing. And not only that, but sequences from crassphage have been found in pretty much every environment imaginable, from the ocean to the soil.
So we're talking about one of the most abundant biological entities on Earth, potentially.
It's incredible.
And for years, scientists were baffled by this thing. They had its genetic sequence, they knew it was incredibly abundant, but they couldn't figure out which bacteria it actually infected.
It was like having a key, but not knowing which lock it opened.
Exactly. And finally, after years of searching, researchers isolated the first crassphage virus and found that it infects a specific gut bacterium called Bacteroides intestinalis.
This was a major breakthrough because it finally gave us a target for studying crassphage and its potential role in the gut microbiome.
And now we know that crassphage isn't just a one-off. It's actually a member of a large family of viruses, all predicted to infect species within the Bacteroides phylum.
And as we've been discussing, the Bacteroides are one of the dominant groups of bacteria in the human gut. So it's not surprising that crassphage and its relatives would be so abundant there.
And the really exciting thing is that changes in the gut virome, including changes in crassphage abundance, have been linked to various gastrointestinal abnormalities, like inflammatory bowel disease.
That's right. So studying these bacteriophages could potentially lead to new ways to diagnose and treat these conditions.
It's really amazing to think about how much we've learned about the gut microbiome in just the past few years, and how much more there is still to discover.
It really is. And as we move forward, I think we can expect even more groundbreaking discoveries that will transform our understanding of human health.
So to wrap things up, what are the key takeaways from today's deep dive?
Well, first and foremost, the sheer abundance and diversity of the microbial communities living within us. They're not just passive bystanders, they're playing active roles in our health, from helping our immune systems develop to influencing our metabolism.
And it's not a one-way street. Our bodies and these microbes are in constant communication. What we do, what we eat, how we live, all of that affects our microbial communities.
Exactly. And these microbial communities, in turn, can affect us in profound ways.
And thanks to amazing advances in technology, we're finally starting to unravel these complex interactions. Tools like advanced nucleic acid sequencing are allowing us to study these communities in unprecedented detail.
And we're seeing a resurgence of interest in cultivating microorganisms that we haven't been able to grow in the lab before. This is opening up entirely new avenues for research.
And as we move forward, the potential applications are vast. Imagine personalized medicine based on your unique microbial profile, or therapies that target specific microbes to improve health.
And perhaps even interventions early in life to encourage the development of a healthy microbiome right from the start.
This is a truly exciting frontier of science, and the research you shared is at the forefront of this exploration. It's just incredible to think about all the possibilities that are opening up, thanks to our newfound understanding of the microbiome.
And with that, we come to the end of this deep dive. I hope you, our listeners, found it as fascinating as we did. And remember, there's still so much to discover, so many mysteries yet to be solved.
So keep those ears open for more, and we'll catch you in our next deep dive.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.